Hello, everyone. This is Takatoshi Shibayama, host of the Future Design Podcast. Today, I would like to introduce you to Heiko and Selina. If you have anxiety, whether it's financial, your job, parental, relationship, or wherever it comes from, I would like you to watch this episode. They have been teaching the power of releasing for nearly 30 years, and it's so simple, you can even add it to your morning routine. I'm recording this right after the episode I had with them, and it feels like the weight of my chest had just lifted. If you don't like to listen to me babble, or watch this face, skip to the 16th minute and you can start right away. I hope you feel better after this. So tough guys like me usually like to kind of toughen it up. I don't like to, think about negative things and I say, you can do it. I'm just going to do it and keep pushing. But a lot of times, not a lot of people are like tough guys. And of course, I don't even succeed in doing that many times either. So, I always find that when we're always in some kind of negative situation and we have anxieties about our future, it could be financial problems, it could be parental relationships, anything. What is the best way you guys have derived in releasing this anxiety?
First of all, I'd like to say, even if you're a tough guy, right? Let's say, even if you're a tough driver, even tough drivers, they can't drive tough with the handbrakes on, right? So if you don't lose your handbrakes, and we all have some inner handbrakes, then we don't get forward, we don't succeed, just that. And the way we have arrived, we learned what we do from our teachers, Dr. Lindwall and his wife, who discovered this method of how to release and let go of inner obstacles, painful emotions, and limiting mindsets. And so we studied with them for years, we followed them around the world and assisted, and then continued in our own work.
Yes. And how did you find this teacher to begin with?
First, I met them in Germany, where I'm from, on a workshop, Freedom Through Releasing. And that's where I discovered it, and it blew my mind. I was so amazed how something can change inside in such a short time and so effectively. So it was like match on gasoline for me. And then when I met Selina, she met that method too with them. And so we started together.
Yeah, so you found it when you were 19. He was 19.
21.
Or 21 years old, yes. And when I met Heiko. And then very shortly after, we went on a tour to Egypt with the founders. And that's when it completely blew me away. How deep, how fast, how effective the changes were in people who were releasing. I mean, you could see it physically, eyes start to sparkle, skin starts to glow. Everything changed, for the people that I was looking at, and practically overnight. It was shocking for me. It was actually literally like a good shock. And that's when I decided I'm not going to do my interior design business anymore. I just want to do this with Heiko and bring it out to the world. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very powerful, because there are many methods that different people kind of bring to the table and say this works, that works. I mean, it's very hard for us as people who haven't really experienced these type of treatments or releasing methods to pick and choose which one works for us. I'm sure it's all personal, but it's always something that you have to fall into. By casualty. Like it could be from an introduction from a friend or your spouse, or Googling it online and you just fall upon to it. Some things work, some things don't. I mean, I've tried meditation for, quite some years now, but I tried different types, and it took a while until to get to the place or the meditation practice that I can feel very comfortable with. So, how did you find, Heiko, how did you find this method to begin with? Because I'm sure back then there wasn't so many types of healing methods out there that like there is right now.
Well, first I heard about them, and then I saw a flyer. Back then there was still like this cheap black and white copies, very, very low profile promotion. So I saw that, and I saw that flyer had like a cage on it with an open gate, and a bird was flying out, and it said "Freedom Through Releasing," and it just resonated. Because I was aware there's some things that I needed to let go of, some inhibition or things that I didn't even know what that was, but I felt something, and that was often part of the problem. I don't know what it is that would hold me back. And I just resonated and thought, I'm going to give this a go. And so I went to the workshop.
You hitchhiked even.
Yeah, I hitchhiked to the next workshop, hundreds of kilometers away. And then I hitchhiked to the next one. First, I hitchhiked to Berlin, and then I hitchhiked to Hamburg, and then to Berlin and around. I just thought I want to make use of this as much as possible, because I saw how it would change people's life and how much it changed me.
Yeah. Before we go into the actual practice of how we release anxiety, could you tell us, like, what is the concept behind it? What is the philosophy behind this?
First of all, I think it works for so many people because it's based on universal principles. It's like gravity. It's not like it does apply to me, but doesn't apply to you because of what you believe in, right? So it works on a universal principle that whatever you let go, lets go of you and can't hold on to you. So if I discover what maybe a negative feeling that I have inside, and we say it's like you are your consciousness or soul, whatever you call it, you're like a computer operator, and your brain is like the computer, and your physical body and your life is like the 3D printout. So when you, as the boss, sort of says, I let this go, I delete that. And for us, it's saying the words, I release. This is like pressing the delete button. We are wired, our energies, our brain are wired that way. That when I say I release, it's like pressing the delete button. If you press the delete button on your computer, you don't need to be an IT expert, right? You don't even need to understand, why is this file deleted when I press this button? You just need to know this is the delete button. If you find the right file, then you can delete it. So the same thing is, if you are aware of a negative feeling or painful thought, right? Let's say you have a thought in your mind that says, I will probably never succeed. That's a powerful thought, and we're always creative. Our thoughts are very creative, right? And our thoughts determine which direction in life we go. And so if you release that thought, it releases you as well. Sometimes we have a few copies of the same file in us that we release it a few times. But every time, actually, when you say that, often you can feel lighter immediately. And sometimes there are things that are very easy to recognize. Thoughts that are very easy, like I always think negative. But sometimes there are older pains that we carry. Some call it emotional baggage, yeah? That are deeper. So we need to do a little bit more inner research to see, how did this pain or this pattern, or let's say this block that I have, how did that start? How was it created? But when we then find it, it's just like any other file, that we can release it. And you know what I liked very much? It was so self-empowering that, okay, I can go to someone and learn this. But then on my own, I carry this key that I can use all the time wherever I am. I don't always have to go. And that I like very much. It had this sense of empowering freedom, you know. Wow, I can do this on my own every time. I don't always need to go. That's what I liked. For you too, right?
That was one of the main things that really got me, that I can work on myself and I can be deleting my own corrupted folders and programming inside, and I don't have to go to anyone else if I don't want. I just have to take the time, sit down and be really aware of what I'm actually feeling and what I'm thinking. And if it's actually not good for me, if it's creating for me to sabotage myself, or creating for me to feel really bad in any way, angry or jealous or irritated or sad, then I can just delete it. That really blew me away, and that it works. That if I were to just say the words I release and put very specifically what I want to delete, which folder it is, and I say it, I delete it, it's gone. And I could feel the effects and could see in other people. That is crazy for me at that time, you know, like, wow.
We don't really think about our negative thoughts or even positive thoughts as files. You know, it's just all mixed up together, all entangled, and it's never in an organized way that you can just peel off layer after layer. But the way you explained it sounds so simple. but yet, our conscious mind is so complicated. So in a way, I feel like, is it too simple? That kind of thing, comes up to mind. But is it that simple, really?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Thank you. Because it does sound simple. It can be simple at the very end when you release. What is not so simple often is to find what it is you really need to release. Let's say sometimes people are in a challenging situation, let's say in business. They get angry or they feel very perturbated. They're under stress, right? And they feel a lot of anger. But sometimes you need to find that below that anger is a fear. So let's say if you get angry when things don't work out in work or in your job, you might find it's not just that you release your anger, which is good, but you might see, oh, I'm actually afraid that I would lose my job, or I don't make enough profit this month because I have bills to pay. So, and this is when even the toughest guy can say, yes, I love my family and I'm afraid to maybe not be able to feed them or to survive, right? And so then we need to realize, oh, okay, we need to look deeper. It takes a lot of self-introspection to find what is really there. And that can be something more complex.
And more challenging for many people.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of people want to look deeper, just stay on the surface. What's really interesting also is our teacher, the founder of Releasing, when he said that everything that you think or feel for more than 33 and 1/3 seconds, so let's say a little bit more than half a minute, sinks into your subconscious mind and becomes a permanent part of you. So that, when I heard that, I'm thinking about all the times I felt angry or upset and thought, bad things about life or people, and all that it goes and be a permanent part of me. But also the good things, of course, and the happy thoughts, all of it.
I give you an example. Let's say you want to do a podcast like we do. You want to go live on the web or in front of the camera. A lot of people would rather die than going in front of a camera, right? They say, no, let me do anything else, right? So there's often this fear to fail, the fear to look stupid, to say something stupid. Public speaking, there's a lot of fear involved. So the simplest way, of course, that you can release whatever is on the surface for you right now. That you say, I release my fear to lose my text. I release my fear to go blank in my mind. I release my worry that I will not be in the flow in what I say, right? Or I release my fear that whatever I do is not good enough. So that is something people could say straight away because they're aware of that. A deeper issue would be then, well, where's this fear maybe coming from? And when you research, it goes back to, oh, you were maybe in school or primary school, and you were asked by the teacher to stand up and recite a poem, and you're stuck, and everybody laughs about you, and you get punished or shamed. And you feel this then for a long time. So this would be a deeper root. And most people have had one or two situations like that. So that, if you go there and release that, we have seen that in people that now they easily stand in front of a crowd or in front of a camera without warning or notice, say, yeah, bring it on. And openly share and speak because this deeper thing is released.
Yes, when they used to be petrified, So yeah, if we get to the root causes and release that, then on the surface, everything naturally falls into place. So that's our work, and that's what we love to do with people.
So it is simple, yet can be very complex. But even if you use it in the simplest way, it can help you a lot without even finding root causes. That it's not either or.
This is something that I always wanted to try as well because, do I have negative feelings? I'm always, I don't know, always thinking about negative feelings. I'm a very positive person, but I always have to fight those negative feelings to keep positive. But, sometimes some of them, seeps in, and then I have to, find a way to get rid of it, but I never really knew how, but to just muscle it out. So I'm very excited to try out this practice, and I hope the viewers of also are going to find it super, valuable. and take a lot away from this. So can we start this process, please?
Yeah, we can do some examples. What do you think at this moment is in people's minds that bothers them a lot? What would you think?
Well, at this point of time where we're in this COVID-19 quarantine, a lot of people, I would assume, that are worried about finances. Can they get jobs afterwards? Or relationships. So maybe they spend a lot of time outside and not having to deal with a lot of internal relationships. So maybe it was with a spouse, it could be with a partner, it could be with the children, or the other way around. So maybe younger kids are thinking, oh, I don't know how to deal with my parents being all the time in my face. So I could think of many different anxieties from people that are happening at the moment.
Yes, which brings it to the essence of what people need to, a lot of people that we've encountered need to release is, I release my fear to go crazy. Yeah, I release my fear to lose it. And even now, as we have this quite light conversation, it's often very serious. They're really afraid to go crazy. So if you say to yourself, like, I release my fear to go crazy, and I release all tension and stress from my body.
We can actually have everyone say it now. Just repeat after us.
Yeah.
And to speak it out loud. Speaking out loud is important. Yeah.
So if you see this now.
Yes, if you see this now, and as we say it, you just repeat after us. Okay? Not just hear us or have it in your head, but speak it out. So everyone can say, I release my fear to go crazy at this time, not knowing what lies ahead. I release my deep anxiety of the future, feeling like I might not be able to deal with what's coming. I release my fear of the unknown future and my feeling that I'm powerless and helpless to change anything and to deal with it. I release that deep anxiety right now. Take a deep breath on it.
And I release my shock of this sudden change in life. I release my deep feeling of frustration, feeling stuck in life right now.
I release my deep feeling of frustration, feeling stuck in life right now. I release my shock for those who have lost their jobs, okay, or have had their businesses closed down because of the lockdowns and the quarantines. You can say, I release all shock and trauma to lose my job, to have my business shut down so suddenly when I least expected it, and in the middle of great plans for the future. I release all shock and trauma. Take a deep breath on it. You know, when you suffer shock and trauma, it often stays in your system for a long time until it's released, and it can cause all kinds of physical issues too.
And I release my fear of the unknown. and what is about to come.
I release my fear that if I don't earn enough money in the time to come, that I will be poor and my family will starve and we might lose everything, including our home. Release my fear and anxiety about this. Take a deep breath on that. Let it go. Delete that file.
After you release, it's always good to take a deep breath to release it from your system. So during this time, what a lot of people that we have spoken to feel is, of course, the loss of control of their lives, and they feel powerless to do anything to improve the situation. So it can help to say, I release my feeling that I have no control over my life. I release to feel powerless to change my life for the better right now.
And I release my confusion, not knowing what to do to move forward and to be successful in my life. I release to feel stuck and to be stuck in my old way of life, my old way of thinking and being and living. And I release my conviction that the old way was a better way. I make a new decision now to fully open my mind for a new and better way. I choose to adapt my mind and my life to new ways of being. And I open myself for new support, new information, new knowledge, new learning, for a new and innovative way to move my life and my business and my job forward into the future, step by step. I open for new support, seen and unseen. And so it is. Take a deep breath on that. Feel your mind opening, yeah? And we hear many people who say, oh, I hope the old normal comes back. I hope everything goes back to normal. Yeah, waiting for that time and so not moving, not innovating. Just waiting for this to pass so they can go back to the old normal. And we're saying to all of you, there's very likely no old normal coming back. There are structural changes happening in the world. There are many businesses that seem so solid and stable that have crashed or will be crashing. That's how it is. This is evolution of life. Life goes in cycles. So we just have to adapt very quickly, and we can do that when our minds are open. Yeah? Don't wait for old normal. Be now, be here, be present. This is what's going on now. I take a big look at the future. Yeah, bird's eye view of what's going on now is going to dictate what's going to happen. So I will change and I will innovate. Open your mind. And all the information is going to come at you from the internet, through friends, through books, through conversations, and your mind being open is going to be sparked and triggered into new ways of thinking. And that's how you're going to be fine through everything. But if you're stuck in the old way, nothing's going to move. And there's a chance that you will crash. And there's no need for that. Yeah. So every time you release something, you affirm. Because it's very hard to affirm and have affirmations work when in the subconscious mind, the old way is still going. The old thoughts are going, belief systems, programming, yeah, that doesn't serve you. It's still operating. Affirmations don't work so fast, but once you release, you affirm, and then it sets in and it takes hold. Okay, so after releasing, affirm the opposite, what you want.
And you mentioned something very essential earlier about the challenge that it can be with family and friends and living together, seeing each other much more, and having no way or possibility to have some space on your own, just to be by yourself and go out, which is like, for some people, feels like they're in a cooking pot. So our buttons are getting pressed, you know, and as long as we could just like maybe go out and have more time for ourselves or out, often those buttons were not pressed, right? So we find some things, some essential things that can really help, let's say with your spouse, with your mother-in-law, with your kids, and with yourself especially. Many people often feel much more upset or easier angry or impatient, and they judge themselves, and that's not fair. And so what we suggest is to look at however your partner or family member is, to try to see it in a non-personal way, and to try to release the judgment of them for that they're more naggy, maybe that they're more hot-tempered or more impatient, or that they have a long face, yeah, and that it's not personal, because just like us, they deal with their own things, and everyone has sometimes different things. So one thing that can be, those little things that can make a big difference, is when we say, I release to judge my partner for being so different at this time.
So everyone say, I release to judge my partner, my children, my parents, for being so different than they normally are. I release to judge them. I release my anger for them. Say that again. I release my anger for them and my irritation and my frustration that they are not behaving the way I want them to be. I release that now. Take a deep breath on that. Let that go. Release that file. This is a keeper. So every time you feel the anger coming up and the irritation, you say this under your breath. Say, I release my anger for so-and-so. I release my irritation. And you might feel it fading a little bit, and it's still there, and you say it again and again. And you will find within a minute or so, it's gone. It's faded. Yeah?
And especially also for yourself. We can be damn hard with ourselves. Yeah. So especially when we love our loved ones, and if we're more irritated, more tense, and look, let's say women have to provide, and they feel maybe afraid to lose their job, that triggers a deep fear. So you're more anxious and more tense, and maybe not as patient with the children or with the spouse as before, but because you love them, suddenly you feel guilty. So we can always say, I release to judge myself for not being as balanced as I normally am.
And I release the anger for myself. Feeling I should have known better. I should have known this was coming. I should know what to do to make things better for me and my family. I release the anger from myself. And I release my fear that I won't know what to do. And I don't know what to do to make things better for my whole family. Take a deep breath on that. See, often when we're angry with ourselves, we maybe don't know we're angry with ourselves. So we lash out. We project that anger out on people around us. But the root is we're angry with ourselves. We feel we have no control. And sometimes when we feel we have no control, we try to control other people around us. Yeah, some form of control is better than no control at all. That's how it's projected out. And when our family members don't want to listen to us, our kids disobey and they're going crazy and running around, the anger lashes out, but actually it's anger for self that we have no control. Okay, so this is good to release as a keeper.
So even though we would love to download all 10 billion possible releasing statements, right, that you can, it's much better, let's say, a simple formula everyone can use daily. A simple formula is you see what negative or limiting thoughts you have, you see what negative or painful feeling, emotion you have, and then you put this in a releasing statement. So I release my fear. I release my anger for
Very specifically. Yeah?
I release anger for myself for whatever you would actually tell your diary.
Or your friend.
Yeah. If you can tell it, you can release it.
You can put it in a releasing statement.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, I used to fight those negative things because that's one program we've been taught, right? And even with the best intention, and the harder we fight, the harder you fight the file on your computer, it doesn't go anywhere. But no one taught us how to release in primary school or school, right? So you can see whatever negative thought there is, you put I release in front. I release my idea about this. I release my feeling towards so and so. I release my feeling towards myself that. So whatever it is. And with a bit of practice, you get the gist of that. And if you not so clear in your thoughts, it helps to write it down. You write all the negative thoughts and feelings and ideas down, and then you go through and release them, and then you see how they feel.
And then make affirmations. They start with the words, I open myself to, and open myself to see. And then what you want to see, understanding. I choose, yeah, or I make a new decision. And everybody here anyway now can say, and I forgive myself. Yeah. Yeah, if you judge yourself or you've been angry, you've been lashing out, you say, I forgive myself. So these are the kind of affirmations, yeah. Hope that helps. Even children can release. We have children as young as 3 or 4 or 5 making releasing statements. We have a granddaughter, her name is Rumi, and she's 4 years old. And she can make releasing statements. I said to her, Rumi, do you know how to make releasing statements? And she said, yes, because her parents taught her, my daughter. And I said, how do you make? I said, what if you're angry with a friend? And she thought for a while. She was 3.5. And she said, well, if my friend takes my book, I will be angry. She made a hypothetical situation for me. And I said, and what would you say? She said, without missing a beat, she said, I release my anger for my friend for taking my book. I was bowled away. So little kids can easily make releasing statements, and they're so aware of their emotions. Yeah.
Hi, this is your host Takatoshi Shibayama. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Now, if you enjoyed or disliked this show, please let me know by writing in the comment section. The only way I can improve or add value to you is through your voices. If there are any topics that you would like me to pick up, please also let me know in the comments. I'd love to start chatting with you all. And if you would like to continue watching the show, please subscribe. Thank you.